Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Good morning, dear participants of this forum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm grateful for this opportunity to address you at this very time when we all face a very risky phase in this war. And I would like to start with the fact that you might have not noticed, but I'd like you to pay attention to that more specifically. This forum is currently being watched by the independent mass media. As far as I know, there's representatives of Corriere della Sera, Rai, La Repubblica, La Stampa, New York Times, Financial Times, Reuters, Fox Business Channel, CNBC Europe. And I believe there's many more. On the overall, there's 280 media representatives that cover this forum. I mean, we are open to everyone. We're open to them. And I cannot imagine that any of us would be afraid of this or similar media. But I will tell you who's afraid of them. As you know, Ukraine found itself at the epicenter of Russian radiation blackmail. Russian army seized the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant in March and still holds it. This is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. It has 6 nuclear reactors. The plant was repeatedly shelled. On the very first night, when the Russian occupiers entered there, that was on the night of March 4th, they've opened fire at the plant facilities from tanks. There is a video to support this. During the month after that, the situation did not change. There's constant shellings and provocations. Under the cover of a nuclear plant, Russian army is shelling the neighboring towns and districts. Now, that was the major strategy. The occupiers are also shelling the plant itself to put pressure on Ukraine, on Europe, and the whole world. They want you to show weakness, to give up, and stop supporting Ukraine. Now, this is the purpose of this radiation blackmail by Russia. Just recently, the Zaporizhia plant was literally one step away from the catastrophe when the power lines were damaged as the result of shelling. As a response, the automatic control system initiated the shutdown of reactors. Only thanks to the Ukrainian nuclear engineers who worked professionally even under such conditions, the accident was prevented. If not for them, for those professionals, Russia would have already provoked the worst catastrophe in the history of Europe, far worse than in Chernobyl. And it is therefore logical that a stringent international response is required, and with the help of our partners, we've ensured that the IAEA mission was sent to the plant. It visited the plant yesterday. We agreed with the head of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi, and the members of this mission when I met them, that they would help with the main issue, the key aspect. And that's the key, really, aspect, that demilitarization of the station, because it's so important for protecting all of us, all Europeans, from a radiation disaster. We also agreed that together with the IAEA mission, the independent journalists from Ukraine and international mass media would arrive, just the same media which are covering today's forum. But what we've seen, the Russian military stopped the journalists who were traveling with the mission at the checkpoint. They didn't let them go any further. Obviously, the occupiers felt that in the presence of a free media, it would be impossible to lie to the IAEA and the whole world. So free media scares Russia. This means so much at once. If you do not allow independent journalists into the plant, then it means that you're definitely aware of your responsibility for the catastrophe on this plant that was so close, and you're afraid that the world will draw conclusions on your responsibility. Unfortunately, the mission did not protect the journalists and did not pressure the Russians so that independent mass media would go to the plant so that everything would be open and fair. And we talked about this with the mission. We said that without the admission of independent journalists, Russian propagandists would dominate the place. That would be theater. Unfortunately, we haven't heard the main thing from the IAEA, that is the call upon Russia to demilitarize the station, the plant. And now, what if not this? And I hope that the mission will comply with what we've agreed, and it will serve the interests of the entire international community. We can't leave the greatest risk of a radiation disaster in 40 years like that. It's impossible to keep the soldiers of a terrorist state at a nuclear plant. There are situations when the fate of everyone on the continent depends on keeping this word. This is exactly what we have. Ukraine has demonstrated more than once that our words truly matter. It's clear in many aspects. Of course, we did everything to ensure that IAEA would get access to Zaporizhia nuclear plant. And I believe that this mission may still have a role to play. Also, that's another example. We've fulfilled our commitments under the Grain Initiative and contributed the efforts to resolve the food crisis in the world, which therefore prevents a new migration crisis. The hunger in the countries of Africa and Asia would lead to new waves of migrants to Europe, and in particular to the Mediterranean coast, to Italy. But we did everything for this not to happen. Ukrainian food has already been transported successfully to 20 countries by sea. Our wheat was also sent to countries like Ethiopia and Yemen, where the situation is particularly grave. Our words in terms of food security guarantees remain strong. And we are ready to help to stop the new price chaos in Europe. While Russia is spending its efforts to increase gas shortages on the market, as well as to increase prices, Ukraine, at the same time, is ready to increase electricity exports to EU countries. This is why it is important for Zaporizhia plant to return to its safe mode of operation and remain connected to Ukrainian power grid. The Russian presence at the plant significantly weakens our ability to help Europe in the energy sector. Our electricity export can help stabilize the energy consumption of our neighbors in the EU, and as a result, this will reduce Russia's energy pressure on the whole Europe, and therefore in Italy as well. Even now, despite all the difficulties, we can export the electricity in the volume of at least 8% of the consumption of the whole Italy. Moreover, Ukraine can become a green energy hub for Europe, which would replace Russia's dirty energy resources, dirty in different senses of this world, both in terms of environment and in terms of moral aspects. Our country has a huge natural potential for the development of capacities in green energy and production of green hydrogen. There's a potential for at least tens, possibly hundreds of gigawatts of green electrical power and millions of tons of green hydrogen. It's important that there is already an infrastructure in place for transporting electricity and hydrogen to the EU. We've already and we've always kept our word in providing Europe with energy resources. Just compare that to the typical behavior of Russia, which always violates treaties and uses the economy for political blackmail while failing to fulfill their own promises. Even during a full-scale war, Ukraine did everything to gain a status of the candidate for EU membership. We quickly and efficiently fulfilled our commitments and will do everything to start negotiations on the EU membership. We shall definitely be together with you in a united Europe. And I'm grateful to Italy and personally grateful to Prime Minister Mario Draghi for support of our country on its European path and on protecting from the Russian aggression. Every word of our agreements with Mr. Draghi has been followed 100%. And a truly worthy person, a truly worthy relations between our countries. And the life itself demonstrates that we need even more integration, even more agreements and results. We have to ensure full compliance with every promise to increase pressure on Russia, to finally stop this radiation blackmail and guarantee the safety of the Zaporizhia nuclear plant and for other large nuclear facilities in Ukraine. All these words regarding the support of Ukraine with weapons, with ammunition and funding must be confirmed with deeds as this war continues. Russia does not understand the words of peace, but Russia perfectly feels the power on the battlefield. The power should stay with Ukraine and the free world. This includes sanctions that the world applies as the self-defense against Russia's aggression. The power should also stay with business, primarily in Europe. The reputation of none of the companies will not withstand radiation sickness. Therefore, it is necessary to completely and immediately terminate the relations with countries that resorted to radiation blackmail. Don't wait for disasters to make decisions, to turn to predictable partners. Ukraine is just a partner like that. Of course, now we have the war. Of course, now we have Russian missiles hitting our land, and we're losing people every day. And 379 Ukrainian children were killed by Russian hits, and over 735 children were injured. And altogether in Europe and in the whole world, we have to stop this war. And therefore, we can move to a much more meaningful economic relations. Ukraine is already one of the largest producers of agricultural crops. And we've already talked about this today. And together with you, we can build one of the largest agricultural processing clusters and to reinforce our ability as the guarantor of food security, making Ukraine a place for the production of affordable food products for the whole world. Besides, Ukraine is a perfect location for the processing enterprises, starting from woodworking to all types of mechanical engineering. We've got various resources and minerals, starting from gas to lithium. We have qualified personnel, fast logistics, and we have access to European market. This is something that we want, that we aspire, and Ukraine is an ambitious post-war reconstruction project. There's reconstruction worth hundreds of billions of euros of everything that Russia destroyed through its terror, that tens of thousands of different facilities that will have to create anew. And I'm grateful to those Italian companies who have already shown their interest. Ukraine is a completely new sector of defense and security whose capacity will correspond to what we've experienced in this world, and that will be able to make a fundamental contribution to Europe's security in the coming decades. Of course, after we'll make Russia to liberate our territory and make peace. And this is only possible if all of our partners would keep their own words, just as Ukraine does it, just as Italy does it. I thank you for the power of the Italian word and for the actions that confirms this word. Thank you for supporting our country, our nation, who found refuge on your land. We will never forget it. And I'm speaking frankly from the bottom of my heart. Glory to Ukraine.